I didn't stay because I didn't know better. I stayed because it was comfortable, it was safe, it was familiar, and if I'm honest, it was predictable. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video, how staying too long in a job, in a career, in a season of life, in a structure can cost you your creativity, your energy, your self trust, just cost you way more than just money, if you know what I mean. So again, I'm going to be talking about this from the preview of career job lens, but you can really apply this in any situation because staying too long, staying past your welcome, like the old saying, how they say, like, know when to leave the party, like, leave the party before the lights come on and the DJ stops playing and people are starting to wipe down the tables. You have to know when to leave. And in my role when I was in healthcare leadership, like, I was good at my job. I was doing well. I was exceeding expectations, but I just knew something, and I had worked really hard for that role, but I just knew something in me felt misaligned. And at the time, like, I didn't know what it was. Like, I didn't have the language for it. I just knew that something was off. And I talk about this in great detail in my book, Release and Renew, Transform Burnout into Purpose and Unlock Joy and Ease, about like the feeling that I was having and not really having the language for it, because sometimes you just don't. You just know that like something here, isn't feeling right. And the thing is, we often question ourselves because the job, the career, the system that we may be in, of course, it doesn't start off being misaligned. It doesn't start off, in a way that is not what we desire. But over time, we become, over time, things change. Let's just put it like that. Things change. Leadership may change. The job or the role itself may change. Business needs may change. The organization as a whole may change. Even you as a person, which we're allowed to do, you may change. You might have certain different desires. That ultimately was me. And it was like twofold, because the environment, the job, the needs, the expectations were changing in a way that I was already in a place of such chronic exhaustion. I just knew that it wasn't going to be sustainable for me. And in addition to that, I was starting to, the light was starting to come on in my life. Like, I was start to look around at, being successful on paper, working hard for this role, having a team that respected me, making a large salary, doing all the things right. And I just started to look around and just say to myself, how did I get here? Did I really choose this? It was just a lot of deep questions and reflections that was happening to me at that time. And I also understand that there are certain reasons that you may need to stay longer than you need to, especially, finances, financial stability, autonomy in the role. You may be thinking to yourself, it's not that bad, it's just a busy season, or things are just speeding up right now, it'll get better soon. Or the idea of, we should all be grateful in this time to have a job. There's a lot of reasons that we stay longer than we should. But we really have to think to ourselves, ultimately, is it worth the cost? For me, it costed me a lot. I was so like disconnected from myself, like I didn't even know who I was anymore. In addition to like my the outward things that changed, like me being 60 pounds overweight, me having a very high level of anxiety that required prescription medication, like my internal self, like my energy, my creativity, the things that I used to like I just didn't have time for it. Like my work and my career was all consuming. It was almost like a quiet resentment from where I had to go, where I was at. And if I'm thinking about it, because as I'm talking to you, I'm like just reflecting in real time, it was also some people pleasing in there too. If I'm going to be honest, in regards to why I stayed in this career and just in that season of perfectionism and people pleasing for way too long, just like doing the things that my family or my community or my society expected or told us was the right thing to do. And I can have this lens looking back, but I honestly don't regret anything because I feel like everything we go through, there's an opportunity to learn something about life, learn something about other people, learn something about systems and jobs, and learn something. Look, there's always an opportunity to learn something when you are in a season that you know you probably should not be in, or you're in a job that you know you should not be in, and you can tell that it's starting to cost you something. But there are, if you take the time to really think about it, there are things that you can gain from staying in those situations. So I shared about my first job, and if you watch some of my other videos, Um, after I left that corporate leadership job, I took a 10-month sabbatical. That was like the best time of my life. And when I came back into corporate America, I was very clear on the way I wanted to use my skills, the type of environment I wanted to be in, the type of work that I wanted to do, all of the things. And I found a role that met those needs, was very excited about it. But again, over time, things change. So I'm already feeling the misalignment in my current role. But since I was able to know what that felt like previously, I'm just more acutely aware of feeling that right now and taking the proper steps into continuing to move forward in building my business. What I'm doing differently in this role where I feel the misalignment creeping in is that I am using this season to still move me forward to my desires. So being in this role has helped me fund my book project that I put out last year. It's helping me with business finances that is required to build a new business. Since I'm not in a position to travel right now, when I take PTO, because I have, those type of benefits in this role, I use my PTO to work on my business. So again, I'm using this time to continue to move forward, but being acutely aware that staying too long in any position, in any season, in any situation, again, I'm talking about careers and jobs, but you can apply this to anything. It will cost you something. And you have to really think to yourself, are you willing to pay that cost? I wouldn't recommend it. So the lessons that I learned from this is comfort can keep you How did I have this written down? I can't even make out my own notes. Comfort can keep you longer than alignment, just meaning that if you're staying in a position for comfort, if you're not focused, it'll kind of overshadow the alignment that you know you should be moving towards. And then, like I said before, the other lesson is staying too long or teach you something too, because you know you do have those people. Let me know in the comments if you have a friend or a family member or someone you know that they're the type of person that they have to learn the lesson for themselves. They cannot see that someone else has gone through that, has experienced that, and can learn the lesson from them. So staying too long in something, that'll teach you the lesson too, if you're willing to teach the lesson. But I have come to believe, I've heard this from other elders and just people in life, that God will keep putting you through a lesson if you haven't learned it. So just make sure that when you are staying in a situation longer than you should, to make sure that you're learning the the lesson from it. And I also want you to understand too that, like I said in the beginning, when things are feeling misaligned in a place, sometimes you won't have the language from it for it, and that's normal. It could just feel like something is off. It can feel like, again, like how I said, you look on paper at like all of your accomplishments or the things. Oh, I got this good job, I'm in a leadership role, I'm making this salary, I'm getting bonuses, I have these benefits. Like on paper everything looks good, but inside you're like, something just isn't sitting right with my spirit. It can feel like, how they say, like the Sunday scaries, like you get an anxiety or just feeling like, oh, here comes another week. Just that misalignment can present in so many ways. Doing a role or doing work that you used to love and enjoy, and over time it just being, like you're resenting the work. One thing I do know for sure too is that you can you can feel disconnected, or a level of burnout or chronic exhaustion, or just or misalignment in work that you enjoy, because it's not always the work. It can be the environment, it can be the container or the construct that work is in. It can be a lot of things. So the key is to, when you start feeling that misalignment, start reevaluating what your desires are, what you are working towards. If you're an ambitious woman, an overachieving woman, start to reevaluate what that relationship with your goals, your desires, what that looks like. Those are all the things you want to kind of start paying attention to and asking yourself when that misalignment starts to creep in, because I'm a living witness. Staying longer in something that you should will definitely cost you, and it will cost you more than just money, because again, I know we stay in things often because of finances, but there are things in our lives that are way more important than just finances. So I'm going to leave you with some reflection questions, as I've been doing in these past couple videos. Let me know in the comments if you like these, because I am taking the time to just get some questions that you can ask yourself for these topics that I'm discussing every day. So the first question you should ask is, where am I staying? Here we go. Where am I staying out of comfort instead of alignment? Again, we're humans. We want to feel a certain level of comfort. I know I do, but in this season that I'm in, alignment is just much more important to me. I want to be doing good, meaningful work with people, clients, other professionals that feel aligned, where I am making an impact. That's where important to me. And in addition to that, doing all of that and being financially stable. It is possible. Question number two, what is this season costing me? Again, and I want you to think outside of just costing you financially. Is it costing you your energy? Is it costing you your creativity? Is it costing you your peace, your joy, your mental capacity? Ask yourself, what is it costing you? Another question you could ask yourself, oh, this is a good one that I wrote down. You know how you have just so many notes on the page. If nothing changed, how would I feel in a year from now? That's one of the questions that, if you are honest with yourself, you will get a lot of insight from. Feeling how you're feeling right now and asking yourself, if nothing changed at this job, in this career, in this season, if nothing changed in a year from now, how would I feel? I know, probably worse. And lastly, what am I afraid would happen if I listened to myself as instead? What am I afraid would happen if I listened to myself instead? Because again, we get all of these different messages, even in our 30s and our 40s, we get all these messages from our families, from society, from whomever that the messaging seeks inside of us. And then we start questioning ourselves. We start, abandoning ourselves. We don't have self trust anymore. So you have to ask yourself, what am I afraid of if I just listen to myself? If any of this resonates with you, let me know down in the comments. I'm Erica Prevail, and I share daily conversations for ambitious women, helping them rework their relationship with ambition, capacity, rest, and creativity. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.